We've made it here, and we're going into the weekend strong. Noble was just saying he's got a lot of time blocked basically the rest of the day and all over the weekend. How is everyone else doing right now? Can I do a
I'm further behind than I want to be, but I got chapter 1 done today. So I've got about 3,000 words now between introduction and chapter 1. So I think I'm happy with the progress, even though it's a little bit further behind than I wanted to be.
Yeah, Bradley, I'm right there with you. Like you and I are like, we're pretty much the same there.
I took some of the advice from yesterday and I turned off Grammarly and I didn't even reread any of the stuff that I wrote until I was finished with the chapter. So I did like basically zero editing. So thank you guys for that yesterday.
right on? We got a few.
Yeah,
more
the
people.
big win for me from yesterday, Darby, was the dictation attention to Chrome. That was a big win for me.
Anyone else have any big wins going into the weekend, or where you're focused at? How are you guys feeling?
Well, I've hit just about 5,000 words. So
Way to go.
I think where I'm struggling right now is it's so much easier for me to just write. But then I go into Jarvis and I'm like, ow, and it triggers. So I still feel like I'm kind of stuck on the right commands. Like today specifically, even I'm getting a lot of, I don't know if it's Jarvis or how I'm using it, but I'm getting a lot, like I'll do like write a blog post intro or outline about the above content. And then it tells me how to write a blog post. Like it's a little bit wonky. So I was like, okay, leave this alone for a little bit. And then I kind of went into, I was doing like the problem agitate solution. I'm kind of doing a combo of the hero's journey and the nonfiction. So I kind of go back and forth and I'm like, stop editing. I forget. I apologize. He was saying it too, like stop editing, and formatting. So that's helping. I'm just kind of dumping that in there. And then what Zachariah said about do the intro, get an outline, do the closing paragraph. So it's helping a lot actually, but Jarvis seems a little bit wonky, at least for me this morning.
I kind of noticed that yesterday as well when I was putting in a command on,
Okay, that's good feedback. In boss mode specifically, you guys are giving it commands and it's just kind of going a little bit more literal than you like. Is anyone else having a similar experience with boss mode?
Yes, and I'm also seeing that it's duplicating paragraphs too.
I've seen some other people, it's a similar thing that comes up. So I think that either Jarvis is just getting a little wonky, which I know can happen at times, or we just kind of troubleshoot it here. Does anyone have some content? Maybe Kim, you said some very specific stuff that you might want to go over with.
Let me just pull up one of the documents I was working on. So this is, just to reiterate too, like this is it. I put chapter 2 notes, not working. The book is F the Hustle. It's kind of about anti-hustle culture and all of that with online marketing. I put in the content brief. I added this after. This is not the content. So write a blog post introduction based on the content above. And I got start a new blog post with this introduction, then answer the following. Some of this is okay. So see, isn't this weird? Like I've never seen this where it's literally telling me to fill in the blanks. And I was like, okay, that's not super helpful. So I don't know. I think Jarvis is not feeling well today or something.
If you're looking at like blog post introduction, I found a little bit more success and just instead of just saying about just the above content, maybe a little bit more description about like write me a blog post intro about the theme that you're kind of thinking of for that chapter to give it a little bit more direction to pull from.
So I would just say too, if it's not, try even removing blog posts. Try saying write me a chapter intro for the above or write me a chapter intro about X, whatever it is. Because you're directly speaking to Jarvis, try to just tell him exactly what you want instead of sticking to the framework that we're used to using.
Okay.
As well.
That's something I'm playing with. So my favorite author is Patrick Lencioni, or Lencioni, however you want to say his name. And if you've read any of his stuff, he always starts with a parable, a story, a creative story. And then the last third of the book is unpacking the principles that are found in that. And I keep going back and forth. I'll start down that road with a creative story, and then I'll run into a roadblock, and then I'll stop and just go back and start working on the core content. And that's kind of been my back and forth, trying to figure out where to go with that.
I would focus on getting the core content out first, the stuff that you just, it's just, this is what it's going to be. Right. And then once that's just out of your head and you can come back and kind of massage it later, go in and reread kind of where that content's at, and like, how is the story going to preface it? How did I learn it, or how did I earn it? And how does your story like relate to that? But like, what were some lessons that you learned inside of that journey? And how did you yourself inside of that mini hero's journey of you overcoming that obstacle? How does that lead in and segue into like the content that you're having here? The thing is just keeping that pattern rolling in your head throughout the book. Like get the meat of the content out, and like that should really take up, like you should be able to get that done first, and then spend a lot more mental energy on like crafting the narrative theme around it, with your customer avatar in mind.
Awesome. Thank you. This was super helpful. So with the hero's journey, right? So because I had a big epiphany when I read Storybrand years ago, and I'm like, oh, and I'm a Harry Potter fan. So I'm like, I'm Dumbledore. I'm not Harry Potter, right? For my audience. So in this case, though, because it's my book, but I'm using my stories, like when I found the mentor and I found the guide, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not me trying to tell a story so they see it. It's relatable. Does that make sense? So that they're my stories. I am Harry in this book. Is that what I'm doing?
No, the reader cares about what's in it for them, right? So if this is a memoir, maybe that's what I don't think you're writing a memoir, right?
No.
So you still need to relate those stories, the lessons that they learn from those stories. You are still the guide. You're still Dumbledore telling them, I learned this, Dumbledore tells a story to Harry, and something clicks for Harry. So what's clicking for your reader even though you're telling the story of what happened to you? You're still the wise guide. You're still the wise guide, right? Sharing knowledge with your reader, who is Harry.
I'm just going to dive in. I'm going to pick a topic in boss mode that I am familiar with, and how maybe I would go about writing, let's just say like the Amazon copywriting secrets content for the first book I did before Jarvis had grown up so fast on us. Cool. So context for what I'm going to go into right now is like, how would I start building out maybe like a really rough outline using Jarvis for a book if I were to do it again? This is a book about how to sell more products on Amazon.com. Amazon is the world's largest online marketplace, and it's where people go when they are ready to buy physical products, period. This book is going to be marketed towards e-commerce business owners and consultants who have clients that sell on Amazon and want to build the best listing that showcases their products. Write me a chapter and a subtitle regarding the content in the description brief. Write me a book title for this book about Amazon copywriting.
Holy night.
So if I'm brainstorming a book title, write me a title and subtitle based on the suggestions above. Okay. Darby's book of Amazon hacks, brand new Amazon optimization techniques and advanced tips. So I'll just combine those two. I like how those rock and roll. Let's do that. Write me a 10-chapter book outline for the contents described in the brief. So it looked like that kind of took that as the prompt and wrote me kind of an intro description on that. What I want to do is get a few more title options. This is what I did for the first book, was like, I was didn't really know where to start or how to outline, but I knew there was a jumbled amount of things in my head that I could talk about. The first half of what I was doing, just Command J now, instead of refreshing different topic outlines and posts and stuff, like each one of these is a blog topic outline, topic idea. If you were to go and use that 5 additional, so this is great. It's giving me literally the 10th chapter of this book. So, right, I might not use some of these as the actual chapter title, but they could be subsections inside of that chapter, right? If I were to want to just make a really quick point A to point Z, like overview of the book is going to be the introduction. What is Amazon and why you should sell on it? How to get your products listed on Amazon, and so on and so forth. So we go right here, introduction overview of this book. Write me a book introduction that starts with what this book is about. Giving me a good little bit of like the introduction, right? What is this book? What is it about? Who is it for? Why is it different? Write me a list of bullet points about who would sell products on Amazon.
Darby, can you take
Yep.
that information that started out with that intro of the book and have it create something for the back of your book?
Absolutely. So let's just say we're taking this paragraph right here, or are you saying this whole intro?
It kind of looked like the whole intro is what you could use. That's what I was asking.
Again, kind of like going back to the Lego analogy where we're building blocks. Like if we're like, hey, that's a really good piece of content I could potentially write a book blurb about, or the description of my book. Use the content above to write a book description. Oh, this is good. Watch this. Let me see. So it goes into here, right? Takes the intro and all the content right here, and I ask it to write me a book description. Give me a call to action using the AIDA framework for people to buy this book based on the content above. The one that you're going to put on the back of the book is going to be like, you want people to have a quick reference when they have it in their hand, because you also have the book description as it is on like Amazon, when you're just selling people to even just buy your book when they're on the checkout page. You can have 2 different descriptions when it comes to that. It's a little stronger call to action for people to actually purchase the book. And then we can go into some more detail for the back of the book. All right, so we've got the consultants, we've got the chapter titles. So basically from here, now I've got an idea, like let's say I want to call I got my title, my subtitle, I've got a brief introduction on the book, and just looking kind of if we were doing Craig Hanley's outline process. Now I need to just organize out of these 14, what are like the main 7 chapters that I want to choose? And then what are the things I'm going to talk about? Going here, chapter 1, let's put little breakers up so Jarvis doesn't see that. Give me a blog post outline for the content above. See, these are just continuing to be really good source of inspiration for different sections and subsections of each chapter that I want to go off of. What is Amazon.com? Describe the e-commerce platform to me and when it started. See, this is a prime opportunity to fact check, but have it still relay the information in a way that sounds like it's being presented, maybe in a factual point of view. The origin of it right here. So I'm answering these questions for people that are reading my book and saying, oh, that's really interesting. If my target audience, their entire business has been built on Shopify, I get approached and they say, hey, I know Amazon's a huge opportunity. I don't have time to do it myself. I really want to like get started on the platform, but I don't know the first place to start with it. Can you help me get started on Amazon? Sure. Yeah, Amazon started here. This is why you should sell on it. Give me the top 5 reasons somebody should sell on Amazon. Okay, cool. So maybe like a little brainstorming bit, and I'm saying, okay, cool. Like these are some of the reasons why you want to sell on here. Again, it's more so like not wanting to get in and do a little bit on each one of these, but I'd really want to focus in on then just chopping all of these up and then again, like I said earlier, like just narrowing down on those 7. So it's interesting how it's spitting these outputs out when at the bottom from like back when we were kind of building out this initial doc, we're about 1,100 words right now. It's nowhere near perfect, but a lot of different points that we can start to expand on. So let's just say we were to keep these top 7 chapters on the marketplace. Let me take these down here. Chapter 1, the Amazon Marketplace. Write me an introductory paragraph based on the sentence above. So in this, give me a blog post outline for how to do keyword research on Amazon. Write me a conclusion paragraph based on the chapter outline above. It's kind of where Zachariah was saying yesterday, with just like the chapter intro, bullets, outro. Might be better but like even in any of these sections, right? That's why I could turn this right here into like a 5,000 word section, like really just with doing the same exact process, rinse and repeating with the intro, this bullet point, like, because each one of these is potentially a really deep dive rabbit hole. And that's somewhere where it's easy to think that you need to go into so much depth with all of these. This is like the foundation of the book. Similarly, we could probably use like an AIDA framework after the conclusion paragraph that could sell somebody into reading the next chapter, right? This is almost an intro paragraph to what we just talked about here, less of a conclusion paragraph, but it's still identifying, right? Kind of using that problem or AIDA framework, calling out the problem there, talking to the audience as an e-commerce entrepreneur or consultant, selling physical products. This book will help you learn how to research keywords in order to find profitable ideas from compelling product listings. Finally, this is what measuring sales effectiveness. Right, so this is kind of the intro, and I like the direction it's going, and it's almost helping me say, like, maybe I don't need to include every single aspect. If I were to write like another book on this, I would maybe write a completely separate book on how to find profitable keywords for my clients. So it's kind of alluding, like, by the end of chapter 10, we'll give you some information on where to look if you want to start advertising your products on Amazon. But in order to get there, and kind of like back to the point of this book is like, how can we build this outline step by step so that someone knows how to find a profitable product, how to create a compelling product. Expand on the sentence above and write me an introductory paragraph. Write me a list of steps to finding a profitable product to sell on Amazon. See, like, by accident, it's giving me ideas for maybe things that can replace as chapter titles right here. And so I'm like, okay, how to create product listings with high converting keywords. That would probably go down here. Kind of like a section up there using high probability keywords that I want to talk with and such. So for finding research demand, is that you? Okay, so it's basically like, how do you find it? Find a product that's in demand that's already selling on Amazon. How do I find a product that is in demand and already selling on Amazon? Right, and this is the whole section where it's like, now we can get into like negotiating with suppliers, like deciding how much minimum order quantity you want to go into. And so I could keep going down this rabbit hole a little bit here. This is a really good start to like, all right, this is going to be my first chapter 1. I can give someone a real good crash course into, this is the overview. Right now, I don't want to give them everything because I want them to, you know, either figure it out for themselves or give it to someone else to figure out and take action on it, or potentially hire me to help them implement it, right? Write a creative story with the plot of how I got started selling my first products on FBA in 2017 when I began selling posture correctors on Amazon. I just kind of like had like a coffee table chat and told them like, hey, this is like the kind of background I want you to give me a plot on this story with. And that's, that's something to work with, right? It's like, hey, this is kind of how I got started in this. And then leading into, this was the journey I went through. And this is how I learned this information, right? Or I earned it because I invested in courses and mentors to teach it for me. And then that will lead into, here's how to do product research. Here's how to do X, 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 and X. And by the end of it, they just say, oh, okay, like it's not as complicated as I thought because this guy just broke it down into like one chapter of a book. And I'm kind of fact checking Jarvis as we kind of go on here. And I'm just cleaning up the shit that's just, just nonsense. And I'm saying, okay, that's a nugget. That's a nugget. That's a nugget. Cool. Clean it up, chop it up. And your book will end up looking, even before you like add in all of your other additional things, you can have this kind of structure that's flowing down between each chapter and all the different topics inside of it. And even potentially, subsections inside of those topics, adding in the story and adding in your own narrative, become a lot easier once like the framework like this is kind of out. And so when I was doing the first one, I would get these like bullets and lists and stuff like that, but I would then basically just go back into problem, agitate, solution, and follow that format for each subsection of the chapter, and literally just like rinsed and repeat it. And then we were using a tool called Sentence Expander at the time, which they really, really dialed back because we abused the crap out of it for the first 2 weeks when it was open. It was giving like 600 plus character. It was giving a lot of content. It was kind of what they were building Boss Mode to be into. And so we're coming at the top of the hour. I hope that was valuable and helpful for you guys watching, just to see kind of the flow.
Awesome. That was super helpful. Thank you.
Awesome. Glad to hear.
Yes. Excellent.
Great. Awesome, guys.